Today I'd like to do the first in a series of videos debunking all of the arguments against veganism, the so-called arguments. I just call them excuses because that's all they really are. Non-vegans are people that are addicts and their substance of choice is dead animal flesh and the secretions that come out of these tortured, murdered beings. Now, obviously, most people, if they saw the reality of what happens in these industries, they wouldn't make that choice, but they've been tricked into believing that this is normal, natural, and necessary. And it's obviously not. Before I begin with the first argument, I just want to say that I get the list of them from the website carnismdebunked.com. That is run by activist George Martin. He's a great voice for the animals. Definitely check out his work. He also has a YouTube channel, Carnism Debunked. Now, the only difference is I'm going to be answering these objections to veganism in my own way, my own style, and hopefully I can present something unique that hasn't been done on YouTube before. The first one is animals eat other animals. This one is easy to refute for a couple of reasons, but the first one I'm going to start with is the moral reason. So when it comes to morality, humans have this wonderful ability to determine right from wrong behavior, whereas predatory animals don't. They simply act on instinct. And we do not have the instinct to rip flesh from an animal's body. And this is easily proven by putting a child in a cot and giving the child an apple or a bunny rabbit. And it's going to play with the bunny rabbit and it's going to eat the apple. When it does the opposite, it's probably a psychopathic child. So this is not the norm. Another point that I'd like to make regarding morality is there's this concept called natural law, and that is something that I don't see being discussed in the animal rights / animal liberation community because people are simply not aware of it. Natural law is simply a set of binding and immutable conditions that govern the consequences of behavior of beings with the capacity to determine right from wrong behavior. And we are those beings. Lions, hyenas, tigers, alligators, crocodiles, they are not those beings. Natural law does not apply to them. We have the ability to make moral decisions and therefore achieve better conditions in the future if we do it on a collective scale. The funny thing about this argument is the people that say this never want to mimic any of the other behaviors that these predatory animals do because it doesn't support their addiction. And that is things like raping members of their own species, killing their young, licking an unwashed ass, eating excrement, things like that. They never want to mimic that because they're not addicted to those things. And if you're into licking unwashed ass, eating excrement, and that's your sexual kink, no judgment from me. I've seen the video, 2 Girls, 1 Cup. It's just not for me. And another point that I'd like to make, and I haven't really seen this one anywhere else, and it's inspired by a story with an experience that I had with my mom. Now, we had a couple of chickens living next door to us, and they managed to crawl underneath the fence and get into our yard. And we had 2 dogs at the time, and one of the dogs was chasing the chickens, trying to kill them and eat them. And my mom was freaking out so much, even though my mom loves having chickens in the oven, loves having chickens on the roast. She was trying her best to intervene and stop the dog from killing the chicken, which she did successfully, by the way. However, I had to call her out there on the spot. I had to tell her that she's a fucking hypocrite because she's trying to save that chicken from the dog, but she's eating chickens on the roast all the fucking time. And you can imagine that she wasn't very ecstatic about what I said. The point is that the animals eat animals, though crowd would probably intervene if their companion animal decided to kill and eat one of the animals that they actually pay someone else to kill and eat, which is bizarre, don't you think?